Grand Rising, Galactic Jedis, and Freedom Fighters, and welcome to my Monday night White Hat Earth Alliance update. My name is Ishmael Perez, and today is the 8th, I believe, 6th of October. Again, guys, I don't no longer operate in the three-dimensional reality, so every now and then I'm going to get the date wrong, okay? So yeah, this is the 6th of October, 2025, and yes, my friends, we are still on a positive timeline trajectory. I could imagine all of you just saying it with me by now. First and foremost, I want to welcome Starcadian for always being here. Thank you so much, brother, for keeping the high vibe in the chat. Secondly, I want to extend gratitude to all of you for watching my show, for being hungry for knowledge, and for wanting to be a part of this great awakening. And also for those that watch it on the replay, of course, thank you guys so much. And third of all, for those that don't know me and for all my new subscribers, I am the author of those two amazing books behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, and Our Cosmic Origin, both which are available on Amazon. Before I get started, guys, there has been a pretty hectic skirmish that took place in the Apsu, right, located in Africa, which was one of the main strongholds of the Anunnaki, where Commander Valiant Thor was apparently hurt. Okay, and I was able to verify to see if that was correct, and it was. But luckily, he was able to be taken to a med bed for fast regeneration. So it is my honor to say that Commander Valiant Thor is well and fully recuperated from that skirmish that took place in the Apsu when the Earth Alliance was trying to take out, and they were successful, one of the last strongholds of the Anunnaki, negative Anunnaki draconian forces that were left behind by Enki. Of course, the main stronghold is in Israel, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. As recent developing projects by the Earth Alliance have been launched, and I will explain that in a little bit. Now, for a moment, for about 5 days, I wasn't getting any telepathic transmissions from Commander Valiant Thor, and I was trying to figure out why. And then finally, yesterday, he communicated with me. He started telling me what was happening. So it's on his part, is very heroic. I'm going to get right into it. Oh, yeah, for those that have never taken a course with me, I have 3 Ascension classes on my website, our cosmicorigin.com. Ascension for beginners, basics. 2.0, if you want to learn how to connect with the quantum field and learn how to quantum shift. And then, of course, 3.0, how to embody your cosmic self. And then my main course is our Cosmic Origin, where I break down the different interdimensional councils, the different levels of advanced civilizations, their functions and operations, and, of course, cosmic history going back to the first major creation, 998 billion years ago. All right, with no further ado, I guess I could get right into it. So this was an operation. It was called Operation Apsu. Apsu was a stronghold that was given to Enki, right, the master geneticist. And this was done about 5 days ago by the Earth Alliance in their efforts, and they were very successful in cleansing one of the biggest African underground networks that have existed since the days of Atlantis. So in the last 5 days, the most dramatic of these skirmishes occurred, an operation that was apparently conducted by the Alliance, and Commander Valiant Thor was leading the way as to why he was injured. And of course, the Galactic forces behind him, which they did win in terms of trying to liberate the humanity from the last grip of the deep state extraterrestrial influence that was still lurking in the Apsu, which is in the region of Africa. So one of the most significant of these missions took place apparently underneath the, I would have to say, northern region part of Africa, which what they call the Apsu, where they discovered an ancient labyrinth of tunnels that have been known in esoteric texts as the Anunnaki Apsu main control center, right? That harbored one of the last major strongholds of the draconian Anunnaki presence that were still lurking deep within the African region. So I'm sure by now a lot of you guys know that the Apsu, referred in Sumerian mythology, is described as a vast underworld sea that is connected to Africa, which is, again, Enki was also known as Poseidon, right? So he also ruled the seas. but his main epicenter was in the Apsu. So it's a vast underground tunnel that is connected to the sea. Right, there is evidence now that there are oceans underneath the continents as well. Okay, that's how deep the oceans are. And some, of course, people, insiders, and contactees believe that this was not merely a symbolic reference, but a literal description of subterranean bases that were used by powerful non human entities, where they had continuously been conducted their abominations up until the present. Okay, so, according to insiders, the followers of Enki, right, which is the Sumerian god who believed he made us, that it was linked to, of course, water, wisdom, and technology, right, according to all textbooks, established his first stronghold there in Africa, in the region underneath Africa, thousands of years ago. Well, these underground sanctuaries apparently did serve as command centers for the negative Anunnaki, right? As they were communing back and forth to the Saturn stations before, of course, the Alliance cleaned house in our solar system with the help of Solar Warden. And they also used it as um, you could say, interstellar outposts for draconian Anunnaki that were coming to and from through a stargate that was still very operational in the Apsu underneath the African region, which apparently sought to influence and has been influenced through their Cabal families, human civilization from behind the scenes. Okay, so what is now referred to by insiders as Operation Apsu, and that's the name of the operation, where Commander Valiant Thor led an onslaught against the Anunnaki that were there, which was a massive cooperative mission that was launched, of course, by the Earth Alliance, guided and reinforced by the Galactic Alliance forces. And this operation involved precision strikes and advanced technology far beyond what the public currently recognizes as possible. So, according to insiders in the highest levels of cosmic clearance, the fleets of specialized craft descended on key portal entrances that were scattered across the African continent. Apparently, the underground region of the Apsu connected major caverns throughout different regions of Africa and, of course, the sea, where an underground combat took place in the last 5 days. Something that has not happened in a very long time. Okay. And the reason this had happened, my friends, was it's part of the beginning phases of ending what is known as phase 4 for a full liberation of the earth. Okay, so they needed to take out that underground stronghold. So the stronghold beneath Africa was a critical nexus point containing not only draconian Anunnaki operatives, right? Those Anunnaki that were aligned with Enki, but also vast stores of ancient technology that were quickly recuperated by the Alliance, as well as hybrid life forms that were immediately destroyed. Some of these chimeras, whatever you want to call them, were going to be disastrous abominations, and of course data archives that spun for millennia that were apparently recuperated by the Galactics and the Earth Alliance. So clearing this network was essential to disrupting the remnants of the control grid that had influenced human affairs from the shadows. So one of the most striking details that happened in this operation was the injury of Commander Valiantor. And apparently, he did lead the Galactics straight on into this fight, like as a warrior, you know. And for those who don't know who he is a high-level advisor that has been working with the Earth Alliance since the Eisenhower times, since the Eisenhower days. Okay, so Valiant Thor was struck during the operation, and because he is a fifth dimensional being, he has a fifth dimensional avatar. He didn't realize that he was badly injured. Okay, some of the Galactics had to remind him, "Hey, listen, your neck is badly wounded." Okay, so he did in this operation. He did sustain some injuries, leading a strike team that deep inside the Apsu tunnels, and of course, in keeping with Galactic protocol, he was immediately evacuated to a secure healing chamber where he was immediately regenerated or healed in a med bed. All right. So for the, that explains why for 4 days I wasn't getting any transmissions from him. Okay, I was actually getting transmissions from Commander Corridor, who is above him in terms of the Association of Worlds that he is a part of. So since he was since they used a medbed for him, he underwent rapid cellular regeneration and energetic stabilization within hours, and of course, Commander Valiant Thor was reportedly restored immediately 2 days later, and he continues to oversee aspects of the mission from orbit right now. So right now he is off world. And this ties in with some of the activities that has been happening up in the Mars colonies, which I will explain in a little bit. So this event has only deepened, of course, um, the fact that Commander Valiant Thor is the main liaison between the Galactic Alliance and, of course, the Earth White Hat international forces. Okay, solidifying his reputation, Valiant Thor, as a hands-on commander that is willing to take personal risk for the liberation of Earth. So he's also a warrior, and we had an opportunity to not witness, but know about his, some of his feats of courage. So, for those that are unfamiliar with Commander Valiant Thor, I did a full presentation on him about, I don't know, 2 months ago. So for all my new subscribers, I would suggest to watch my live when I gave a full presentation of Commander Valiant Thor before he was dispatched to the Earth from Venus, and what he had to undergo to even qualify to become, you could say, to become part of the liberation team that is now happening here on the Earth. Okay, so with the African Operation Apsu concluded, insiders claim that the Earth Alliance attention has now shifted to another ancient network, right? And I know you guys know where I'm getting at right now. One line or laying beneath the modern day nation of what we call what? Right? Israel. Yeah, that's the main stronghold. Okay, so there are still, you could say, some negative Anunnaki factions that are actually still there. Okay, this region, which is underneath Israel, it is steeped, and it has been for millennia. Okay, regarding sacred history, a lot of occulticism, and of course, it is said to conceal a vast labyrinth of tunnels that connect the African tunnels, believe it or not, to the Middle East, and of course to the Vatican. Okay, including chambers and vaults connected to the same Anunnaki presence that never left the earth. Okay, so there was a element of the Anunnaki apparently that was left behind, that was working in conjunction with Marduk, the son of Enki, in terms of taking over the earth during the days of Atlantis up until the present moment, of course. So clearing this network, which was a successful operation, has marked another decisive step in dismantling the underground hidden infrastructures of the off-world controllers of the earth. So as a result of that, my friends, we do have a bright future for humanity. Okay, this is also contributing to the solidification of the positive timeline trajectory in correspondence with the off-world operations that are actually happening right now in space with 3i Atlas and the 24 Jedi Admirals of Solar Warden. Okay, now furthermore, going back to local news, as you guys know, there's been a government shutdown that took place 4 days ago. Well, believe it or not, this is part of a white hat operation. Okay, don't believe what you hear in the news. Okay, because the shutdown is a disguise, my friends, in order to clean out the network that is being drained right now in a lot of these government agencies. Okay, so when the government shuts down, the public is told, of course, the same story every time, right? It's for political gridlock because there's no funding, right? Agencies are closed. But according to insiders who are, of course, working with the alliance, right, close to the ongoing federal operations, the current shutdown is not what it seems to be, my friends. Okay, it's nothing what it's nothing that the news is telling us, because behind closed doors of Washington, there is a different picture that is emerging, and one that actually looks less like dysfunctioning and more like demolition. And I'll explain. So, with agencies that have been dark and staff, with these agencies that have been shut down, right, and staff sent home due to the government shutdown, federal cyber teams reportedly gained unrestricted access to internal servers, normally shielded by bureaucrat liberals, right? Or shielded by bureaucratic firewalls, right? Installed by liberals. And what they found, my friends, this is what the insiders claim, that there was a parallel communication grid, a hidden network where classified messages, financial transactions, and covert contracts flowed between federal officials, media executives, and major banking cartels. I don't want to call them interest groups. I just call them cartels. Well, this network, long, of course, you know, long existing, but until now confirmed, right, is now being seized due to the government shutdown. Okay, with data mirrored onto secure military systems for analysis. So, according to leaked briefings, the seized servers contained thousands of contracts linking public agencies to private sectors. And this is what the alliance is discovering right now during this government shutdown. Everything from media influence campaigns to off books financial operations is all being discovered. Hundreds of millions of dollars spread across shell accounts overseas have been reportedly been traced to individuals inside the U.S. government. So apparently, what they found is that many accounts, shell accounts, that come from overseas were apparently connected to individuals inside the corrupt, defunct U.S. government. Okay, and so in Washington, several federal buildings are sealed off under the pretext of security and maintenance. However, the whistleblower sources have revealed that the real reason is forensic data recovery. Okay, forensic data recovery. Rooms labeled as archives are being stripped bare, revealing intelligence hubs once used to manage propaganda, political tampering or targeting, rather, and financial fraud. While evidence, boxed and tagged, is being transferred over to secure alliance military holdings outside of the sea as I speak. Okay. And perhaps the most explosive discovery that the alliance has made during this government shutdown is while politicians posture about unfunded government, right? Well, gold bullion and historical bonds are quietly being moved from the Federal Reserve vaults to Treasury secured sites. Yeah, that's a good thing, right? Insiders suggest that this may be the opening move in a shift back to a gold backed monetary standard, okay, which is a move that would dramatically change the US financial system and undercut the shadow networks that thrive on the fiat manipulation. Well, the first stage of the operation, sources have said, is dismantling the emergency powers framework that has enabled unelected actors, right? Central casting. Well, let's just be real. NPCs. All right. Okay. So sources have claimed that dismantling the emergency power frameworks that has enabled unelected actors to control national policy under the radar since what happened on September 11, 2001. Okay. Well, once the hidden network is drained, the public will see that the shutdown was never about money. It was about ending the shadow government. Okay. So now, my friends, they're draining the swamp. I knew this day was coming. Okay. I have faith in the alliance. So, to the public, to the public, a shutdown looks very dysfunctional. All right. I'm sure right now the government or Trump is getting a lot of hate by the media, but to the insiders and to the awakened, it's actually a smokescreen for one of the most ambitious intelligence operations in human history. Okay. So even a fraction, um, I guess the best way to say it is right now, as a result of this, the US is on a verge of the greatest political and economic seismic shift in human history. All right, moving away from the shadowy networks and back towards constitutional governance. So, this is what many observers right now are viewing as one of the most consequential moves of the Trump presidency. The federal government shutdown has begun severing all ties with the Southern Poverty Law Center, abbreviated SPLC, okay? And of course, the Anti Defamation League, ADL. And you guys already know, as revealed in my book, The Secret Government, the Anti Defamation League was initiated by the Rockefellers, right? Well, according to the supporters of the president, which are all of us, right? Me, you, this marks a watershed moment in the effort to dismantle what they call the intelligence industrial complex. Well, of course, we used to know it as the military industrial complex, but the alliance is now referring it as the old intelligence industrial complex, which was what? A hidden alliance of NGOs, non government organizations, right? Government agencies, and big tech platforms that used to police political narratives under the guise of fighting hate and extremism. Well, under President Trump and his appointed FBI director, Kash Patel, the Bureau is reportedly cutting off these organizations from its intelligence pipelines. That is great. So, in the eyes of the critics, of course, this is not a routine bureaucratic change, but the removal of deeply entrenched activist influence assets embedded within federal agencies for decades. So, for years, the SPLC, right? You guys know what that stands for, right? Which is the Southern Poverty Law Center, which was initiated by the far left, has marketed itself as a civil rights watchdog, but detractors argue it has, of course, functioned less as a neutral arbiter and more as a data weapon for elite interest. Yeah. Its widely publicized hate maps have been accused of functioning as blacklist, tagging mainstream organizations as extremists and feeding those labels to tech companies, financial institutions, and even federal law enforcement. Well, Kash Patel has publicly criticized the SPLC as a partisan smear machine with a troubled internal history, including allegations of racial discrimination. All right, Black Lives Matter. How do you guys, where do you guys think all that started from? And of course, SCXUAL harassment within its own ranks. Well, the ADL, right, the Anti Defamation League, long known for combating anti Semitism, which is a joke, has also been accused by insiders or high level, you could say, alliance members of evolving into an ideological surveillance nod. Yeah, big brother. Okay. Well, under former FBI Director James Comey, who we all know has been indicted, ADL linked operatives worked closely with the Bureau to shape internal definitions of extremism and, in effect, to gatekeep with narratives um, that could be publicly challenged. Okay, Trump Trump allies argue that this arrangement enabled censorship pipelines where names flagged the ADL, where they were used to demonetize videos and, of course, shut down bank accounts and then deplatform independent journalists. So this broader network, spunning intelligent agencies, right, under the control of the deep state, NGOs, non-government organizations, big tech, and financial services, has been described by some as an outsourced censorship regime. Proponents of the current shakeup believe that by purging the SPLC and the ADL influence from federal operations, the Trump administration is striking at the heart of the system that has quietly eroded constitutional freedoms since September 11, 2001. Well, if the FBI no longer relies on or cooperates with activist organizations for training, guidance, or intelligent reports, it signals a shift away from the private ideological influence and back toward direct government accountability. For Trump supporters, this is the culmination of a years-long battle to dismantle the shadow networks of the previous regimes that were dominated by the Clinton Obama foundations. Okay. Well, for critics, it is a dangerous politicalization of law enforcement. But either way, the SPLC and ADL have long, of course, stand in their role in shaping public and private definitions of extremist appearing to be under unprecedented scrutiny. Okay. And then, of course, for the first time, it's now being unraveled thanks to the White Hats. So, furthermore, guys, in addition to that, there is something that has, something that took place a few months back regarding these things called the space arcs. And I'll explain that in a little bit as to one of the reasons why Three Eye Atlas and the 24 Admirals of Solar Warden have returned for this specific moment. Well, one second. So, for thousands of years, my friends, okay, these space arcs, and they've always been here, they're nothing new, okay, have been revered as interstellar vessels of immense importance, repositories of advanced knowledge, genetic archives, and multidimensional technologies designed to ensure the survival of consciousness across the Milky Way. Well, originally, it was seeded by benevolent star nations, and over the millenniums, they've been kind of popping in and out of our reality. All right, last week or 2 nights ago, I talked about the hyperdimensional solar system, where we have about 48 planets, right, hidden planets. Well, anyways, these arcs were guardians of cosmic heritage, okay? But when the Galactic Federation was infiltrated back in between 2016 and 2022, unfortunately, these space arcs fell into the hands of a group of beings who sought control rather than liberation. And, this is one of the most influential groups that have actually sought refuge underneath the earth. And they've been existing there since the fall of Atlantis. In the disclosure community, they call them the Nordic hybrids, which is a faction of tall, fair, and genetically advanced beings whose origins could be traceable back to an off-branch of the Aldebaran system, who apparently bred with certain humans during the days of Atlantis. So they are what we called Aldebaran human hybrids, okay? And they have been existing in one of the inner Earth caverns for about thousands of years. So just like the Aldebarans, right, who were the Nordics, as revealed in my previous life, that helped the Virile secret society jumpstart the German secret space program, these hybrids also chose a path of secrecy and domination. unbeknownst to the Earth's surface. Well, for thousands of years, they have established a subterranean civilization within Earth that was hidden beneath the crust, where they could operate away from the gaze, of course, of the surface governments. Well, over time, these Nordic hybrids formed an alliance with the Etorians, also known as the Animus, right, which is a cybernetic android race skilled in infiltration and manipulation across many sectors of the universe. I talked about this in many of my presentations. Well, together with the return and support of Enki, the deceiver, the bastard son, right? They succeeded in seeding, of course, their influence in the Galactic Federation, which was a process that started in 2016, but reached a culmination in 2022. And of course, back then, the Galactic Federation, as it was then known, was an organization that was once devoted to what? Upholding interstellar harmony. Well, this infiltration allowed them to quietly derail their efforts aimed at guiding the Earth towards its long prophesied Great Awakening. And this is the reason why things have been constantly, what do they call? The goal has been constantly moving forward because of these people, okay? Well, the collective rise of human consciousness, they fear, and they know that the time would come one day where humanity would reclaim their sovereignty, and that's why they took over the space arcs. Well, so these hybrid Nordics, in collaboration with the Etortians, right, or the Animus, the cybernetic AI intelligence that infiltrated the Federation, in the last 7-8 months, they've actually been taking over some of these space arcs, reclaiming them for themselves. Okay. Well, in response to this infiltration of the space arcs, the Galactic Alliance, under the strategic leadership of the Lyrans, the Lyran mothership. Oh, and by the way, the most recent picture of 3i Atlas had shown that it is actually glowing emerald green, and it is so bright. It is completely astonishing, or what's the word I'm looking for? Mind-boggling, the mind of the astrophysicist and NASA, okay? And this explains why NASA doesn't want nobody, or is not reporting any new images of 3i Atlas. Right now, as I speak, in the last 3 days, it has been detected and it has been confirmed by Valiant Thor's transmission that 3i Atlas is actually glowing in a bright green color like never before, okay? So under the strategic leadership of the Lyrans, who are at the head of the 3i Atlas mothership, they actually launched, okay? And this is part of or a result of some of the meetings that took place on Mars. So they launched a massive interplanetary mission to begin the liberation of the space arcs from these hybrid Nordics, who have, of course, been controlling it now for quite some time. Well, this unprecedented operation involved coordinated efforts across multiple star systems and utilized advanced technologies rarely deployed, of course, in active missions. So a major flashpoint occurred at the stronghold beneath Cydonia on Mars, where the Nordic hybrids and their Etordian allies had apparently entrenched themselves very deeply in underneath Cydonia on Mars. Okay, the Cydonia base, long, of course, suspected to be more than just ancient Martian ruins, was revealed as a fortified command center directing subversive operations against both Earth and the Galactic Alliance. All right. And we're talking about when they infiltrated the Federation. So the battle culminated within the last couple of days in the complete dismantling of the corrupt Federation faction and the liberation of the space arcs from the Nordic human hybrids, which is a good news, okay? The final phase of the operation, known as the Mars meetings and cleanup, confirmed the success of this sweeping interstellar effort. The Cydonia stronghold was neutralized, and this is where apparently elements of the Etordians, along with the human Nordic hybrids, had their main stronghold, okay, in their infiltration and takeover of the space arcs. Again, the Sidonia stronghold was neutralized, yes, and remaining agents of the corrupted Federation were apprehended. They were apprehended within the last 48 hours, okay, and of course sent to undergo what is known as galactic tribunals. So, not to mention the Lyrans on 3i Atlas, right, along with the advanced Andromedans, and of course the Ormas, some of the felines that were there with them, were able to defeat the Etordians, which is what the advanced contact of intelligent organization has revealed as the Animus, right, which is this cybernetic android race that has been taking over and dominating different galaxies in different parts of the universe. Well, with the space arcs restored and secured under the guardianship of the Galactic Alliance, the path for our awakening, guys, is once again safeguarded. Okay, thank God. So, let's talk about some of the. I'm going to shift subjects a little bit. We're going to go from interstellar back to geopolitical. Okay, so the shadowy war that's taking place right now, it's not a shadowy war. It's a public war, okay, between the National Guard and, of course, the Antifa, right, sleeper cells. And that's what we're witnessing right now, not only in Chicago, but even in Portland, Oregon, okay? As you guys know, in the last recent days, there has been a dramatic acceleration or escalation of the domestic struggles between the National Guard and the domestic terrorist group known as Antifa. Well, President Trump has reportedly ordered the deployment of 400 members of the Texas National Guard to Illinois and to Portland, Oregon. And over a dozen are scheduled to go to the other 13 cities like New York, Los Angeles, so on and so forth. Okay. And despite their liberal mayors that are trying to use the Supreme Court to prevent Trump from cleaning out those cities, it's not going to work. Okay. According to high level insiders, my friends, these deployments are part of a sweeping operation to neutralize the sleeper cells. Yeah. Believed to be embedded in the deep state controlled cities. This unprecedented move comes amid rising tensions between the federal authorities and, of course, Antifa, right? Who, for a long time now, has been sowing chaos and undermining national stability. Well, the mission scope goes beyond merely targeting known agitators. Some reports suggest that the sleeper cells consist of experimental operatives described by sources as lab-grown humans. Remember about two lives ago, I talked about how in this off-world operation, the negative fleets or the negative secret space programs were trying to replace real humans with lab-grown NPCs. Well, they were able to do it to an extent. Like I said, over 30% of our population are NPCs that were brought over from off-world or underground secret laboratories. So some of these people that are agitating and that are trying to fight ICE and resist, okay, are actually lab-grown humans, and it has been confirmed. They're not even real people, guys. And some of them are not only lab-grown, but some of them, and in fact, I think most of them are also part of a CIA mind control experiment. So they are CIA mind control subjects as well, okay? And insiders insist that they reflect a hidden war that has been, of course, brewing beneath the surface for decades. So all this was part of the plan to disrupt the national order, right? And the deployment of the military to the democratically run cities is marking a significant turning point in domestic policy, representing a coordinated effort to clean up the deep state-run cities. Well, this might get a little ugly, but in the end, it is believed that Trump is willing to use the military, not just the National Guard. Okay, he did say that. He did make reference to that last week in Virginia when he was addressing all the commanders, admirals, and generals. He was saying, hey, guys, we have the best military in the world. Why not use it on taking out our domestic terrorist groups, right? Furthermore, I do read the comments, and some people are saying, why is Trump invading Venezuela? Trump is not invading Venezuela, okay? Trump is cleaning out the cartels all throughout northern, central, and southern America. Okay, so this is a northern hemisphere operation. So I just wanted to point that out. Some people believe that he's invading Venezuela, right? I believe he just got his deal at the Middle East, where Hamas did agree, right, um, to the cease war agreement, right, with Israel. I believe Hamas did agree with that plan, even though it was in favor of Netanyahu, which I didn't really like. But at the same time, why would Trump start another war in Venezuela? He's not starting a war in Venezuela. He's going after the cartel in Venezuela. So I just wanted to make that clear, because some people believe that even though he's doing his best to stop all these other wars, he's using our military to invade countries like Venezuela, but he's not invading the country, right? It's not like he's going after their national sovereignty and taking over Venezuela and making it a 51 state. No. He's only going after the cartel. Okay, so I just wanted to point that out, because there are some people that are under the misunderstanding that he's just sending military forces to these, Latin American countries in an effort to invade them. And that is not the case. Those are rumors that are being generated by the fake news. Okay, so I just wanted to make that clarification. And for those that are unaware of this amazing product that I've been using for almost 3 years now, and apparently a lot of the Galactic Jedis, it is the most effective product that cleans out your body from all metals, graphene, you name it. That's parasites, cleans out the mitochondria, cleans out the radiation from your body. And when that happens, the natural healing process of the body takes place. Now, disclaimer, I am not a doctor. However, I do believe that this stuff, and right now, guys, everything is in stock. All three of them, Folium PX, Folium Immuna, and Folium Relax. All three are in stock. And again, this is all based on first come, first serve, because a lot of people are getting this product right now, especially due to what might be occurring at the end of December, right? When 3i Atlas is in its closest proximity to the Earth. There are rumors and speculation that we could be witnessing the first waivers of ascension or genetic activation, right? Where we go from the 3D into the 4D or the 5D, like that, okay? Which is going to catapult, of course, more waves of ascension. In either case, guys, I hope you guys are always prepared. I hope you guys have at least 2 weeks of food supply in case the grid goes down. It seems like as we are now in phase four of the liberation project, Earth Liberation, we have to always be ready. You never know when the grid goes down, where we have 10 days of darkness. It's always best to be prepared. I believe the Boy Scouts of America, their main slogan was always be prepared, right? 2 weeks of food supply, water, and most importantly, be prepared mentally and spiritually, because a lot of truthers are speculating that we are in Red October. And I know some of you guys that follow Judy Bidington and other truthers believe that things could even be starting no later than the 15th of October, right? Like the EBS. But again, it's all speculation, but we're all going to find out together. In either case, it's always good to be prepared. Okay, it's always good to be prepared. I do want to welcome everyone that's in the house, approximately 3,000 Galactic Jedis and Freedom Fighters. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate that. I guess this is around the time I decided to do a little bit more time for Q&A, because lately I've been doing long presentations, taking up the whole hour and 10, 15 minutes, and only leaving behind 10, 15 minutes of Q&A. But this time, my friends, I decided to do just a short presentation, a 45-minute presentation, and give you guys longer time for Q&A. Okay, so I decided to do things just a little differently today. And by the way, guys, happy full moon, or is it new moon? I'm not an astrologer, but I know last night there was a full moon, right? Yeah, there is. I'm looking at it right now. Happy full moon, everybody. Right? This is a time where everything is coming out to the surface, guys. Okay. Whether it's trauma, whether it's unhealed wounds, whether it's anything, everything's coming out to the surface for healing right now. Okay. So maybe a lot of you guys are undergoing ups and downs, feeling a little off or a little depressed, but that's all normal because of the full moon, right? It is amplifying the energy of the earth at this time. So at this time, I would like to give some shout outs since I always do, right? I see Wolf Mother is in the house, Project Skyfalls, Margie King, Wade Woodruff, Veronica Domingo, Joseph Jani, Pam.909, David Freemanson, Aaron H., Peggy Baker, Elena S., Lee Star, Eddie K. What's up, Eddie K? Stellar Core, Sarah, Lori Vialardi, I believe. Angela, how you doing, Angela? Lily, Deborah Watson, Cheryl, Leonidas. I love Leonidas. I love that name. I watched once again for the second time the 300. The 300 is really a really powerful movie. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's really good. It's one of my favorite movies. Okay, the 300. It's about when the Spartans, in an effort to protect their liberty and sovereignty, went up against the biggest empire during those days, which was the expanding Persian Empire. Okay, so if you guys have ever seen 300, the Spartacans, wow, that is a movie to watch. And those guys always train like warriors, right? Okay, so I want to welcome all 2,900 people that are in the house. Thank you guys so much for being here. Don't forget to hit the like button. That really helps my channel grow. And also, as a reminder, please type your questions in capital letters. Thank you, guys. So again, I decided to do more Q&A today. I decided to do more time for Q&A. So I kept the presentation nice and short. Oh, so the full blood moon is tomorrow night. Okay, I thought it was last night because I've been feeling it. I couldn't even sleep for hours. I only slept 4 hours last night. I was just up thinking. My brain was going till like 3 a.m. and then I finally fell asleep. My lovey's taking a nap. She's taking a nap. That's why I was about a few minutes late. I was getting my water ready. I was um, getting things ready, making sure that my presentation was here so that way I could go live. But I do see my first super chat from Dakota Mindscape. Thank you so much, Dakota. And I do appreciate the super chats, by the way. We know what Valiant Thor looks like in human form, but what does he look like when in battle? Good question. Or when not communicating with humans. And does he really talk to other humans at channel? I love your courses. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Um, well, as a multidimensional being, it's just like we are, he is able to shift his appearance from looking human to looking more like angelic, taller, and brighter, where he becomes less denser, but his appearance is still humanoid. So even in his fifth dimensional avatar, he kind of still looks the same, but he has more of a glow. Okay. There's more. There's a brighter aura about him when he shifts from his human self, which was, of course, shown to us when he visited the Pentagon, right? Stranger in the Pentagon. And when he shifts back into his galactic avatar, he's much taller. He's actually muscular. Yeah, he's a lot muscular. And his body has like a glow, and his body is less dense. So that is what Commander Valiant Thor looks like in his galactic form. And does he really talk to other humans? Yes. Yes, he is communicating with certain people that are actually genetically tied to him, okay? That are part of his, you could say, oversoul. And does he really? Yeah, so I already answered that. And you love my courses. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. No, I am no Freemason or a Knights Templar. I belong to no secret society. Somebody asked me if I was a Freemason. Thank you so much, Steve Bognaki. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting a migraine all of a sudden. Thank you so much, Steve Bonaki, for the super chat. He says, an affirmation from Source. You are loved. I am loved. Ah, thank you, brother. Thank you for stating that. And I see I have another super chat from Nathan Taylor. Thank you so much, Nathan, for your super chat. He says, what does Marduk look like? Marduk, the son of Enki, Poseidon. Marduk is when he was around before he was forced to abdicate from the throne of Nibiru back in 2001. He was about a 12-foot reptilian, you could say. Yeah, he was a 12-foot reptilian Draco. So I would say he looked like a walking crocodile. And he did not have a tail, though. And he was the entity that the ancient Babylonians used to worship as their god Baal, Baal, or Belial. And since his father left to go, uh, again, conquer many different planets around different parts of the universe, he left Marduk in charge of the negative Anunnaki that apparently have been operating from the Apsu in Africa and from the underground networks of Israel. So yeah, Marduk looks like a 12 feet draconian, nasty looking creature. Yuck. And of course, the Bible references these beings or describes these beings as scaly skin, right? Lit eyes, like a Draco, like a lizard man. Horrendous looking, right? Like they could just bite your head off. But yeah, these things are hideous. These things are hideous, guys. I don't think any of you guys would ever want to be face to face with a Draco, at least not in your human form. In your galactic avatar, superhuman form, that's a different story. But not in your human form. Ishmael, you're so knowledgeable. Do you think you have a positive implant? How do you know so much intel and have so much spiritual wisdom? This is a question from Rebecca Parter. Well, there are these things called positive implants that were given to a selective few that were part of the rescue Earth mission programs, right? Off world extraterrestrial programs. Um, all I'm going to say is that, for many years, I've actually been contacting my galactic avatar, my star family, the different commanders that work in the overall liberation of our galaxy. So I've always been connected, you could say, to the galactic records, the currents of information that comes from other worlds, other galaxies, other universes. I think I'm one of the most prominent galactic and cosmic historians that actually give a detailed explanation of like the cosmic multiverse going back to billions of years ago. So, and that is my gift. My mother, I can't even talk. My mother used to tell me that I was born with a gift of a super intelligence, and I never really quite knew what that was. So what it means is that I do use what is known as the prefrontal cortex, which is this part of the brain, and that explains why when I shave my head, I never do. I only did once when I was 16. My head is like a cone, like it's like shaped like a cone because I have a very fully developed prefrontal cortex, which is right here, and that allows me actually to communicate and to use higher faculties and higher um, parts of my brain that the average person doesn't use. But on the flip side of that, I'm also very clumsy. I have no common sense. I can't put things together. I'm not handy. So the simple things that most men do, I can't do. So there is a flip side to me being, having the gift of super intelligence, but not being able to function in the 3D world, if that makes any sense. I'm kind of like Herman Monster. I'm very clumsy. I'm always bumping into things, or I can't do simple things. Sometimes I have no common sense. Anyways, a little bit about me, things that you guys didn't know about me. But again, for those that are going to be part of my birthday special coming up on the 1st, my birthday, I'm going to actually give you guys the entire detailed explanation of my connections to not only Valiant Thor, but to the Galactics on a deeper level beyond here, because I can't really reveal that on a public forum. Okay. Um, I do have another super chat from Nathan Taylor. Thank you so much, Nathan. I appreciate your super chat. He says, "Will we be able to fire energy from our hands like in Dragon Ball Z?" Absolutely, yeah. I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball Z. I still am. Not only was I interested in the Dragon Ball Z series, which is a Japanese animation, but even all throughout my adult years, guys, there was times where I just would put on episodes just to watch Dragon Ball Z. There is so much disclosure in that Japanese anime. Okay, when it talks about like how energy works, the 12 universes, they discuss the 12 universes. Well, there are 12 major creations, and so on and so forth. But yeah, when we do become activated, when we become homo luminous and we begin using our full capacity, we're going to have even greater abilities than shooting laser electricity or balls or blasting balls of fire through our hands. Okay. So all that stuff is coming, guys. All that stuff is coming, right? The rise of the Superman, the rise of the Superwoman. So if the moon is a big metal ball, this is a question coming from Lee Star. Is it giving off positive or negative energy? Well, since its inception, as it was hauled in by the negative Anunnaki when they took over the affairs of our world after the fall of Atlantis, up until maybe about a few years ago, 2018, 19, maybe even 20, the moon was used as a spying device by the negative ET factions, right? And so since 2020, it's no longer being used as again, artificial construct in collaboration with Saturn to control the frequency fence of the Earth, right, causing the reincarnational loop. But ever since 2020, the moon has been actually fully recuperated by the Galactic Alliance and, of course, Solar Warden. So, yeah, for many, many years, the moon was used by the regressives of the Orion Syndicate, right? Service to others, service to self agenda, to spy on humans and to keep our planet in a very, very, or tuned into a very small bandwidth or frequency so that we wouldn't, you know, go beyond what they taught us, right? They kept us a little bit smarter than the Neanderthals or the primitives, but not fully awakened as we were during the times of Atlantis. And that was part of the Saturn moon matrix agenda, which was actually established throughout the galaxy. They were using what they call the AI matrix black cube, working with the red cube, which was AI, where they anchored these black boxes, right, like the black cube of Mecca, and the red cube, which was totally nanite, run by what is called artificial black goo. They completely installed all these cubes around the galaxy to create a control grid, because even our galaxy was, you could say, dropped in dimension. And the dark forces that have been trying to control our galaxy have been using the red cube and the black cube matrix system to keep the galaxy in a fallen state. But as I mentioned a few months ago, the most powerful race out there, the Ormas, were able to dismantle the entire black and red cube network across the entire galaxy. I hear we have a birthday girl in the house, Galactic Jedi Wolf Mother. Somebody said happy birthday to you. So happy birthday, Wolf Mother. So you were born on the 6th of October. Nice. Happy birthday, Wolf Mother. Big shout out to her. This is a very good question from Kat in Canada. She's asking, hi, Ishmael. Do you think that 3i Atlas might initiate the first flash when it's closest to the sun on October 29th and 30th? I actually thought about that earlier this morning. There could be a huge possibility that that might happen. So we might not even have to wait till the end of December for the first wave of activation. It could happen at the end of this month. Let's just all be ready, right? By staying grounded, my friends. That's how we stay prepared for the changes that are ahead of us. I do have another super chat from Nathan Taylor. Thank you so much, Nathan. He says, can a 5D being go to the 3D, grab a person, and then take him back to the 5D? That's, I would have to say yes, because we have seen in many ancient accounts, and we've read about this in the Bible, where certain or benevolent factions of the Anunnaki, factious of the Anunnaki, were able to literally take three-dimensional evolving Earth humans and translate, by activating their light body, they were able to translate them into the fifth dimensional reality. So based on that, I would say yes, it could be possible, right? It could be possible. I have another super chat from Joyful. Thank you so much, Joyful. Ishmael, I found out I could be from the inner earth people, but also from Orion. And I am a healer and warrior, but is it possible to be from Orion and belong to the inner earth? Yeah, it's very, very possible. Um, Believe it or not, a lot of the star seeds are known as hybrids. They're star seed hybrids, okay, or soul hybrids. And what that means is that they have a aspect of themselves that works with the inner earth councils of light. They have an aspect of themselves that works on a mothership. So they could be different breeds of star seed origins. Okay. And so, yeah, so a lot of the star seeds are actually hybrids. They're not just pertaining to one star origin, right? They're not just Pleiadian. They're not just Andromedan or Lyran. They could be multiple things. Excuse me. David Essington, how you doing? Pray for Archangel Gabriel, feminine lady hope in 3D, both her and her mom. She's battling cancer and denying her higher self, manifesting cancer in physical body. All right, we'll put her in prayer, brother. We'll put her in prayer. The Dark Side of the Moon, Pink Floyd knew. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, wasn't there a song or an album that was put out by Pink Floyd called The Dark Side of the Moon? So I believe that, yeah, they probably knew about that. Yep. Wolf Mother says it's Wednesday the 8th. Okay, so happy early birthday, Wolf Mother. I thought it was today. So you're born on October 8th, okay? So on Wednesday, we should all wish you a happy birthday again. Cool. Yes, that is true. We are so old. We've been all over the galaxy. That is correct. Pam.909. Thank you for stating that. Yeah, so we've all been around, guys, all right? Especially if you're a starseed, and I believe everyone who watches this is. That means you've been around the corner. You've been in many different star systems. You've existed on many different worlds before incarnating on the Earth. Absolutely. So, does the black box of Mecca control the Muslim ideology? Yeah, the black box of Mecca was installed by what is known as the Black Sun cult, which, again, at the highest echelons, is run by negative AI. Yes, we are multidimensional, Lily says. Absolutely. That could be a possibility, yeah. If Three Eye Atlas docks behind the sun at the end of October, it's just going to be recharging and refueling. Very similar to Superman, right? The Kryptonian is able to recharge his abilities or his power by what? By drawing energy from the sun. That's pretty interesting. It's fascinating. Are you familiar with Credo Mutwa? I've heard of him. Wasn't he the Credo Mutwa? Wasn't he the African shaman that talked about the dark shadow entities, the reptilians, early in the 1980s and 90s? And I think he was even interviewed, or he did a collab interview with David Icke. So yeah, I've heard of Credo Mutwa and his experiences with the reptilians, or what we call dark shadow entities. I have heard of him. Patriot for God, thank you so much for your super chat. Your question is: we are multidimensional, everything is simultaneous with infinite probabilities and timelines. So, why are we going through all of this if there is an infinite best version of optimal timelines already? Thank you, fellow Lyran. That's a very good question because the reason we volunteered to save the Earth is because the universe was given another chance by allowing the earth to drop into the lowest frequency, which is what we call the nexus point, right? Where all timelines, every probable timeline, whether it's positive or negative, has a trajectory from this point of time. So that's why we came back to this point of time. So in essence, we all time traveled back from the future, right, which is in a higher dimensional Earth, to the past, which is lower dimensional Earth, to make sure that we win the war against AI, right? In order to secure the future for all the probable futures and all the simultaneous infinite amount of worlds that are happening all at the same time. So that's the reason why we came back and why we are witnessing the final battle here on planet Earth. Good question. Marcia Samuelson says, thank you, Ishmael. You're welcome, Marcia. You're welcome. And look, guys, what just came in, I would be wearing it, but I did comb my hair earlier, and this just came in. The Galactic Jedi hat that is in the house. I'm actually going to wear it next time. It's just, I combed my hair earlier, and I realized I had a hat. I could have just worn it, but the Galactic Jedi hat is here, representing our mission and our purpose. All right, Joyful, thank you so much for the super chat, sister. She says, I am feeling extremely exhausted and I am off balance and just drained. Is this normal? Yeah. My dog is tired also and a little stupefied. Well, yeah, it's very normal. You know, even the animals are undergoing ascension symptoms. Yeah, our pets are coming with us, guys. Our pets are coming with us. Talking about our pets, where are my two little white kittens? They're probably sleeping with their mom. Anyhow. All right, I'm going to address this because since I do get a lot of new subscribers who have been swayed by counterintelligence's, you could say, psyop, known as the flat Earth psyop, I do want to address this. From Chase Matrix, Ishmael, is the firmament real? It is stated in Genesis several times. No, the firmament that the fishbowl, you could say, theorists believe in is not real. Okay. However, the Bible didn't speak about the fishbowl in ancient times. The Bible talked about a different type of firmament that protected the earth from the cosmic rays and the dangerous radiations. And that firmament was you could say it was like a mile high band of water that covered the earth in ancient times to protect the earth from radiation and cosmic rays and debris. Okay. And the reason that firmament was taken down, it was because Marduk, the son of Enki, all roads lead to the negative Anunnaki, imploded the two pyramids inside the earth to destroy the firmament. And that's what caused one of the many floods. By the way, we had multiple floods, guys. Okay. We had about 3 different floods in recorded history. Did you guys know that? Yeah, we had 3 different floods. So this was during the time of what was known as the First and Second Pyramidal Wars, right? This was the war after the fall of Atlantis. There was an attempt by the negative factions of the Anunnaki to take over the positive Naturu, who used to rule the golden age of Egypt when it was under the control of the Council of Orion, the Council of Light, not the negative factions. And so Marduk, he took it upon himself, who named himself Set, was the one who destroyed the ancient firmament, causing one of the many floods. Okay, so there were several floods. Oh, you just woke up from your nappy?
It wasn't just a nap.
What was it?
I was like being put down like by this force. I felt like I was like on a med bed or something.
A med bed?
Wasn't
Oh wow,
really moving.
that's cool.
I was just like it felt like there was no pain. It was just like I don't know. I was like in an outer reality in my bed.
You look so pretty right now. All right, let's continue here. All right, where was I? We are all feeling it, says Angela. Yes, a lot of us are feeling it. Good. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, well, Joyful just said that she's been feeling extremely exhausted, off balance, and drained. And drained.
No, I heard her.
Okay.
Heard her. I wish her the best.
You wish her the best. She could hear you.
I love you, sister.
All right. Another question from Dan Designs. Thank you so much for the super chat, Dan. Will California fall into the sea when Nibiru comes back? I'm still kind of on the wall when it comes to that, because there are times where I get transmissions from the Galactics that tell me that there will be no Earth changes, that they've actually canceled that timeline. We're going to have like a smooth and steady transition to the new Earth. And then I get some transmissions that say, no, but the old world has to crumble. And before that happens, people have to reach critical mass. And even I believe that some believe that when Nibiru comes back into our solar system, which, by the way, is being heralded by 3i Atlas, right? There might be some Earth changes, but I also know that in the event that there are Earth changes and part of California breaks off into the ocean, which could be one probable reality, all the good people of the Earth will automatically be transitioned into the new Earth, existing in dimensions 4, 5, and 6, therefore not being affected by the Earth changes. So in either case, however this rolls out, it's all leading towards a positive timeline. So only the wicked are going to experience any cataclysm or major disasters like that. I do want to welcome. Oh, you guys can't even see him. Where is it? Right there. Jesus the Christ, firstborn and overseer of the first major creation. Michael the Archangel, the 12th archetype and adept of the 12 major creation. My books are Cosmic Origin, The Secret Government, Me as a Super Soldier, being stationed on Ganymede, the crystalline off-world operation of Jupiter, the Golden Lion, and then, of course, my two white kitties. And I don't even know where they're at. They could be napping. Normally, they're running all around me. Even during the day when I'm working. Oh, they're up in the dining room chair. Okay, even in the daytime, when I'm working, putting the presentation together, doing research or writing, um, the kitties are always right around me, and they like to nest on my feet and on my ankles. So they really like to just chill there as I'm working throughout the day, or just be underneath my chair, which is kind of cool because I feel like their energy brings a sense of comfort and peace when I'm like trying to put a presentation together. All right, I do have another super chat from Steve Bognacki. Bognacki. Welcome, Steve. He says, Bug Mackey. Okay, so that's how you pronounce it. God's source visited me in 2024. He told me approximately 50% of the Bible is true. Okay, that makes a lot of sense because the Bible has been heavily modified, just like the old ancient records known as the Sumerian tablets, right? They were all heavily edited by the priesthood of Belial, who was the son of Enki, also known as Marduk. So that explains the Council of Nicaea, where, of course, they took all these books out of the canon and only accepted, I think, only like 66 books when there were supposed to be over 700 books. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense that when we read the Bible, we have to read through the metaphors because some of the things that were interjected in the Bible were not the original message, all right, or they're not in alignment with the light. Okay, so that we have to have discernment when we do read the Bible. To give you guys an example, when the Bible talks about how women should be inferior to their husbands, that was not in the original Bible. Okay, that was instituted by the patriarchy under the control of the draconian Anunnaki when they created the Catholic Church. So the rise of the patriarchy, right? When the Bible talks about how women were, I don't even want to say that word, WHORE, they were stoned for doing that, or for, there's a lot of, you could say, mistranslations that really derogate, I can't even say that word, derogate and put women as inferior in the Bible. And that part I don't agree with. So that's an example of a injected, you could say, false statement that was never part of the original Bible. Okay, God did not make Eve out of Adam's rib. Okay, it's not true. Okay, in fact, if you go back to the original creation, or even back to Lyra, both men and women precipitated from the ethers equally at the same time. The original man, going back to Lyra, our ancestors. Okay, the idea that Eve came out of the rib of Adam is also another falsity, all right? And that's what led to the inferiority of women in the Bible and making them subject to men. That was all part of the patriarch, all right? So as we now experience the return of the mother goddess, the energies of the sacred divine feminine, right? The restoration of our heavenly mother, not just father, back in balance, all of that truth will be corrected. Okay. So yeah, all that truth will be corrected. Good question, Ju. Or what's your name? Gia, sorry, Gia. So yeah, when you study anything, not just the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, you have to have discernment, and also try to pray to God to give you that discernment when you are trying to decode the actual spiritual meanings behind the parables. Okay, so don't take it literal. Okay, but read it with your spiritual eyes. Try to read the Bible with your third eye. In other words, when you guys do study the Bible, and there's nothing wrong. The Bible has A lot of hidden knowledge, spiritual metaphysics, believe it or not. But you have to go beyond the parables. So there's another super chat from Wesley Wall. Let's see, where is that one at? I don't know where it's at. I don't see the super chat of Wesley Swale. I don't know why some of the super chats disappear, but I'm trying to do my best to find it. That's right. This time God wins. Well, technically, God always wins because God is in control, always, guys, no matter how things appear to be. Okay. Never lose your faith that there is a one infinite creator who is above all galactic commands, right? And people always ask me, where does Jesus fit into all of this? Well, guys, Jesus is our eldest brother. He is at the head of the intergalactic alliance, right? Which is called the Guardian Alliance. So that means he oversees all the galactic commands in every galaxy and every universe. In our local universe, Michael the Archangel is at the head of the galactic command. In terms of the multiverse, Jesus the Christ is at the head of all intergalactic councils throughout the various multiverses. Okay, so this is how I incorporate Jesus into all this. The firstborn of heaven, our eldest brother, and you could say the leader, you could say, of the entire Guardian Alliance, the Emerald Order. Richard Kraft says, I love all women's. Is that bad? Well, it depends how you love all women, Richard. Do you love them with an agape sense of love where you see them as daughters of God? Or do you lust after women? So there, it all depends how you love all women. Thank you, though, for the super chat, brother. So yes, I see. Sometimes I do have some Christians that jump on my live. I want to welcome all people, even if you don't believe in the Galactics, it's fine with me. But just know that Jesus the Christ is at the head of the Emerald Order. Michael the Archangel is at the head of our Galactic Command. What is my favorite fruit? Says 444 Coco Jambo. What is my favorite fruit, hon?
I think you really like dragon fruit.
No, my favorite one that I eat every day. I'm always getting
Raspberries, blueberries, and pineapple.
raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, and pineapple. Those are my favorite fruits.
I think you love dragon.
I do like dragon fruit, and I also love watermelon. I love watermelon. But yeah, I love fruit overall. Well, Master Light is saying that Michael is Jesus. Oh, we have to have discernment. Part of the Urantia revelation was also heavily corrupted by the Draco. And there is a part of the Urantia material that reveals that every universe has a Michael, a Jesus that embodies or incarnates and undergoes 7 bestowals before he becomes full sovereign of his local universe. In that regard, yes, but as far as Jesus, the firstborn of heaven, the first celestial archetype, and Michael being the 12th celestial archetype, those are 2 different personages. Okay, I just want to make that distinction. So we have to have discernment. Cats heal energy. Yes, cats do heal energy.
Look at how magical energy coming from there is surrounding you with the Lyran energies. My little lovelies.
Yeah, cats do bring a sense of healing energy. That is so true.
I was right on time. Mm-hmm. Oh, come here.
Cats heal energy. They're the advisor of advisors. Are you talking about Jesus or Michael?
I feel like Jesus is also omnipresent, like God.
Well, yeah, Jesus, the Spirit, is all. It's the Christ consciousness in all of us.
Omnipresent.
Mm-hmm.
No keys.
What are the seraphim the head of? This is a question from Lee Star. Where there are many levels and divisions of non-incarnates that decided not to incarnate in order to serve those that incarnate. And at the highest level, we have the super Naphim, which operate in dimensions 13, 14, and 15. Underneath the super Naphim, we have different branches of them. We have the second Aphim and the Tartire Tartire and then in the 10th, 9th, 10th, and 11th dimension, we have also various multiple levels of angelics. We have the seraphim. The seraphim come from dimensions 10. We have the oraphim. The oraphim come from dimensions 9. And then we also have the different branches like the thrones, the dominions, the virtues, the powers, and different levels of angelic principalities operating on the different dimensions all the way to the five. And in terms of in the five dimension, those are, you could say, another form of angels are the incarnate galactics. So in some cases, some of the Pleiadians that have time traveled back into the present moment are actually us in the future. And as you guys know, when we go into the fifth dimension, those are the beginning levels of what we call the celestial angelic kingdom. So we eventually become celestials when we go into the fifth dimension. And then as we continue ascending, we advance into higher levels of the celestial kingdom. So, yeah, the angels exist from the fifth dimension all the way to the 15th dimension. And there's different levels of them. Oh, mangoes are good too. Absolutely. I like mangoes. Was the real name of Jesus Joshua ben Joseph? Joshua ben Joseph? It was. Thank you so much, Nathan Taylor, for your super chat. Is invisibility an instant transmission and flying and turn into a ball of light to travel the galaxy? 5D ability. Yes. As we begin to use at least 50% of our crystalline genetics, which is what happens when we go to the 5D, we have the ability through the usage of our light body to literally convert our physical mass into pure energy and travel at the speed of light. That's an ability we all will have in the 5D. That's why I keep saying that in the 5D, there will be no need for external technology, guys. All the external technology will be used in the 4D Earth, where most of the Earth terrans go into. Good question, though. Will we be able to see 3i Atlas? This is a question from Eddie Suarez. I think that if you could actually start viewing, remote viewing 3i Atlas with your third eye, right? You have to open it up. You could start communicating with 3i Atlas with your third eye if you open it up. But I do believe that for those that are going to be part of the first wave of ascenders, activators, you will be able to see 3i Atlas in its real nature. Right now, it's in its in its latest image is a glowing emerald green, right? It's just glowing it's glowing like there's no tomorrow. It's radiating light, okay, which is another indicator that 3i Atlas is a Lyran mothership, okay, that was projected from Aurelius Prime, which is a planet located at the center of the galaxy coming from Sagittarius A. Okay. And for those that have taken my courses, you do know that at the center of every galaxy, we have what? We have the Council of Guardians that oversee the 9 realms, right? Every galaxy exists within 9 realms, with the galactic core being the 10th realm, and the galactic equator being the 11th realm. And then beyond the galaxy, we get into the 12th dimension, which is the layers of the universe sphere, right? Anyways, I'm going to take one more question. My mailing address. What is my mailing address? Okay, my mailing address is 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B. My box number is 3015, Sedona, Arizona, zip code 86336. And I always post it and pin it on the comments for those that are seeking my mailing address, as well as the link for the folium. And again, guys, this product for almost 2 months, Folium PX, which is the strongest one, was out. But right now, everything's in stock, and it's all first come, first serve. So if you guys want to continue your cleansing of your body, right, making sure that you guys have no metals, no graphene, no parasites, no radiation, make sure you guys order it. All right, the link is always in the description, and of course, I always pin it in the comments. I'll take one more question, and then I got to go spend some time with the kitties. Oh, you're welcome, Stephanie. All right, one more question. Let's see. Gary says, I have some metal installed titanium. No, titanium is not a bad metal. At least I don't think it is. My cats are male. All right, guys. At this point, I think I'm just going to end the live. And don't forget to share this with as many people as possible. I will see you guys in 2 nights for another update. I hope you guys have a beautiful night. Don't forget to take this opportunity during the full moon to let go of the old, forgive, and start a new beginning. Okay? May the God force be with you all. And I'll see you guys in 2 days for another update.